Hello, hello. Welcome to the play that changed my life. I'm Patrick White, and this is the podcast brought to you by Harbinger Theatre and OSM Studios, just to get more theater in your life. Today, we have a very special end of season, beginning of summer episode. Barb and I are both dressed for the beach or the pool. You've actually got, yeah, that's got a Cuban sort of leaf pattern going on there. Sure, it's understated. So, yeah, welcome to the Memorial Day edition of the play that changed my life. And with me today are two great actors of the Capital Region, Phil Rice and Barb Maggio, who are appearing together in Curtain Call Theater's Native Gardens by Karen Zacharias. Zacharias. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick.
So great to have you here. Barb Maggio and Phil Rice, long associated with Curtain Call Theater. Have you acted together?
You know, we haven't, surprisingly. I've directed Barb 3 times, I think, right?
Yeah, 3 times. Yes.
In Witness for the Prosecution, in a crazy comedy called Corpse.
Right.
And then in a wonderful play called Da.
Oh, yeah.
She played the wife of Da, the title character.
Yeah, I love
So we've been friends for years, and we've worked together, but not acted together.
Yeah, you know, just thinking about it, you know, you're both have done so much at Curtain Call Theater, and you're both, you know, known through Curtain Call. Of course, you've worked elsewhere. But, yeah, I was trying to think of it, and I was like, what? I don't know. No, but here you are, married on stage. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Because you go back with Curtain Call Theater many years. Yeah? What's your association?
I was in the first show that opened in the old building in the church, 3 Tall Women.
Oh, directed by Joe Fava.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Edward Albee play.
Yeah, challenging. And the Monday before we opened, Peter hadn't finished constructing the stage. So it was really, you know, one of those heart-wrenching experiences. But it ended up being great. And I stayed.
How exciting.
I go back a little bit farther than that.
Yes, back to the hotel?
Yes, I was working out at the Theater Barn, where I worked for years, acting in a show there. And Carol was doing Last of the Red Hot Lovers up in Saratoga at the Holiday Inn, was a dinner theater. And she lost her lead actor. She'd have to tell you that story. But so she was looking for an actor, and someone recommended me, I suppose, from the Theater Barn. And so we met kind of halfway somewhere outside Troy on Route 90 and in some hotel. And only in a public room. We didn't, you know. And
no one was thinking anything.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. You know,
okay.
My wife will be watching this. And so she auditioned me, and she cast me then and there. And then she very generously gave me about 5 days to learn the script. The character never leaves the stage, of course. So that was baptism under fire. But we had a great run up there. Then I didn't work again for quite a few years, and I think the next show I did was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf at the old theater in Latham.
And you were acting in it?
I was acting in it, yeah.
Yeah, with whom? Who was your Martha?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Ask me to get into my memory here. Donna Karstedt.
Oh, very
Donna
good.
Karstedt, who now lives in Hawaii.
Phone a friend and you win. Excellent. My first show at Curtain Call was with you, Barb.
Crazy show?
Yeah, the Crazy Show, Chemical Imbalance.
I saw that show.
Yeah, like every reviewer said that script. And I remember reading that script. Carol, very graciously, before I even worked there, handed me 2 scripts and said, see what you think of these. And I loved the scripts. Chemical Imbalance, I remember, you know, reading it at home, just laughing out loud. And and that's sort of like a mark for me now. If I laugh out loud, I was like, that's pretty good. But yeah, it was a Jekyll and Hyde
Yeah.
wacko comedy.
Very funny. I
was
remember
funny.
laughing out loud myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Patrick was the Jekyll and Hyde character.
Yes.
I was a maid of some kind.
Yes.
But you came after me at one point, right behind me, trying to stab me or something.
I'm sure. And McKinley Fallon?
Oh, McKinley Fallon, yeah.
I remember stalking her in the park. Great fun. And Chris as my mother.
Right.
Oh, that's
There were
right.
some really lovely men in drag
Yeah.
costumes there. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
Jack
good
Fallon.
stuff.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the barn, the late lamented barn,
Yeah.
the theater barn in New Lebanon, which closed 2 summers ago.
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and you were a fixture there. You directed a lot of stuff, acted in a lot of stuff. I know I saw you many times over there. And
Yeah, I started there, and my first show there was in 1992. So I worked there more than 30 years, I guess. Yeah, well, just under 30 years.
yeah,
Started as actor, and then eventually became a director and did more directing than acting towards the last few years there.
owned by Joan and Abe Phelps. And last year or two, Alan Phelps, her son, ran it.
Right.
Yeah, great. I thoroughly enjoyed. I only acted
worked
there
there
once.
yes, I remember
Once.
In an
The Hollow.
Yeah.
Yes, and my whole family, my mother's family is from Pittsfield, so Albany is too far for them to travel. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I had like 30 or 40 people from my family in the audience at New Lebanon for one performance, and of course you never hear the end of it after your family comes to see something, and they all say that I died within the first 5 minutes, which is not true. I got shot just before the intermission. Spoiler alert. But yeah, and that was 10 years ago, and my cousin Kate still says, yeah, you invited us all there, and then
And then you died.
you weren't even in half the play. Yeah,
Pittsfield, they call it Over the Mountain in New Lebanon.
that's right.
Going to Pittsfield.
That's right. Ask for your money back. But it was a great opportunity close to the capital region to do professional work, to work with actors from other regions of the country. They brought a lot of people up from New York City. There was different stuff being done. They did an Agatha Christie every year, but they were far more adventurous with the musicals, and they did these small-scale musicals that were always kind of offbeat. And
I directed a show there called Boy Gets Girl, which was very edgy.
you directed that.
Yeah.
I love that
Kathleen
play.
Carey's first show out there.
Yeah, Rebecca Gilman,
That's right.
who's a genius writer. She's on our radar for next season for Harbinger.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did put some edgy stuff in with the crowd
Yeah.
pleasers, which is the way to survive.
Yeah, it was hard work in their programming because Boy Gets Girl, it was about a woman being stalked, but it fulfilled the genre of suspense,
Right.
you know? But it also went through, these social and real life issues.
Yeah.
Right.
It was very smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent production with the late John Trainer.
Yes, John just passed away recently.
Yeah.
Wonderful man he was. And that was a role. You talk about Agatha Christie. John was a fixture in Agatha Christie, usually as the inspector. And this was a role where he played, I don't know if anybody out there remembers a guy named Russ Myers. He was what they'd call soft porn,
Yes.
director with a lot of women with large breasts. And that's what he was known for. And he was a very outgoing, large personality.
He's a very gleeful vulgarian.
Absolutely, that's a good description. And John played that role. It was so out of character for him, but he was wonderful.
Yeah, hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was delightful. I think that might have been the first time I attended Theater Barn because Kathleen was there.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
a happy discovery, and spent many, many afternoons in evenings there since. Great theater.
Well, I miss it. I really miss it. I guess COVID was the main culprit, and then just some financial problems and trying to get the audience back after closing for COVID. And
Yeah. I think the audience. It's strange because like on Broadway they say that they're still performing to 80% or something like that, but there's not a lot of shows closing. It's a pretty heavy season.
Yes.
And every time you turn around and there are these dire warnings, there are 3 more shows announced.
I know, that's right.
And there's a lot of stimulus still or continuing. New stimulus, but I think that people are more. I don't know. I've read studies that people are more cautious with their subscription dollars, which I think the Theater Barn relied on to a great deal.
Absolutely.
In having the security of 150 subscribers to be able to budget.
Well, and you have the money up front from the subscribers.
Right.
So, and there's a lot of money, as you certainly know, that has to be spent well before
Right.
production begins and the audience starts coming in. So, yeah, subscribers are.
So you get through your two-hander and hopefully, you have your coffers full so that when you bring in 7, 8 people from New York to do your musical, that you can afford that.
Right.
And it's all the economics. I mean, that compared to Broadway, compared to Harbinger, compared to Curtain Call.
Right.
They're all very different animals. But anecdotally, in the area, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat just finished a sold-out run at Schenectady Light Opera Company. Cuckoo's Nest sold out a couple of performances at the Shaker site. We were at a full house for Gypsy up at the Edison Club. Not So Common Players is using, which is a new space that Not So Common Players has started using. Do you know the Edison Club?
I don't.
It's a golf club. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, yeah, it has to be in Clifton Park because the town supports, financially supports Not So Common Players. I would have said it's like down the road from Niskayuna High School, so right on the edge there, I guess. But yeah, it's a golf club, and their event room has a small stage that they put Gypsy on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tough to do in a small stage.
Yeah. I think they built out the stage. They added platforms. But yeah. So, excuse me. Dealing with the change of seasons. Everything's a celebration. Summer theater. Barb, did you ever do any summer theater?
I did. And this is, a long time ago. I was living in New York, and a friend of mine was a professor, a friend from college at Keuka College, and they had a summer theater. And we did the, now I'm not remembering the name of the play. Chris was in it with Sarah Melita at Albany Civic.
Oh, Turn of the Screw.
Yes, Turn of the Screw.
Yes.
Except it was the whole play, not the 2-character version, which I can't remember what they actually called it. But that was the story anyway, and I was the governess. And it was fun. There were college, students from the college were involved in it too. And it was challenging. And, I worked on my own costume and, pitched in, as, which I think is good, that kind of thing. I went to SUNY Albany, and my degree is in theater. It isn't like a fine arts acting degree, and so you had to do a little bit of everything. I was talking to Phil about it, costume, set, and so I was just happy to pitch in and do what I can, and it was well attended, and it was fun.
Yeah. I
One of the
love.
great things about summer theater is a lot of them you do pitch in and do all the backstage work, and you're involved
Oh yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
that aspect of theater. And every college theater program should be like that. Many of them are, but not all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think an actor should know what's going on from the light booth and what it's like to put the set together, and it's important.
Sure.
It's all part of the ensemble.
Yeah, I seeing one of the high school musicals this spring, Shenendehoa's Anything Goes, and they had 180, 200 kids involved with the production, from the cast to the orchestra, which was like 40 piece, to the backstage crew filled the stage,
Right.
with all the kids that worked on, that were either on the running crew or.
I'm very familiar with high school theater.
Yes, yes.
That's right.
Shaker High School. How long were you at Shaker for?
Well, I taught there for 30 years. I ran the theater program for about 20 years.
Okay,
I was directing plays. Barbara Kelly,
I know Barbara.
you know Barbara, she started
too.
that program at Shaker, and she would do the big musicals every year until 1985. So I started at Shaker in the 70s, and she was very generous and let me direct a lot of the fall plays, the non-musicals. But then she decided to hang up her musical spikes, and I took over that aspect in 85 and did the whole shebang for 20 years. I'd retired from teaching and then still came back 3 more years to do the musical in the spring with my very good friend Ned Fleischer, another guy who passed away too early. But
I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean I loved doing that, and I'm still in contact with so many of my Shaker Theater kids.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah, I know. I know we saw you. You're a Bethlehem graduate,
Right.
because we used to attend theater a lot with Dick Feldman,
Right.
who had such strong ties to his former students.
Absolutely, and he was such a wonderful fan of his former students. He would come to every show I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started me in theater really in junior high school.
Yeah, he told us all the time how Phil met Roberta in his English class in 7th grade. Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
He had stories on a loop.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
Great guy.
it was great.
Did you have a hard time going from directing straight plays to musicals? Did
Well,
you
that's a
find
good
that
question.
challenging?
The first really big musical I did was in 1985, and for some ungodly reason, Ned and I decided we were going to do Barnum, and we were
Oh
going
my
to do
God.
it big, really big. Well, we did, and
Go big or go home.
we had 1 million kids in it. We made the whole auditorium into like a circus tent. We had the gymnastics team at Shaker at that time was a championship team, and we had a bunch of the gymnasts who performed. This wasn't even in the script, but we had them performing the big finale. The whole cast, except for the gymnasts, 3 or 4 of the gymnasts were across the stage, and behind them we had little springboards set up. The orchestra was on stage like a circus orchestra. So as we got to the finale of the big number, one of the gymnasts came down what do you call those wires that you slide down on? There's a name for that.
Zip line?
Zip line. Came down on a zip line from the balcony onto the stage. I don't know why they let me do that, but they did. And 3 gymnasts did triple flips over the cast that was standing in front and into the
Oh, my
orchestra
God.
pit, which was filled with big mats. So that was my first musical, and I was
God, Phil.
incredibly petrified.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know how to do it. How can I do it? I mean, Ned was a wonderful musical director, so I didn't have to worry about the music. But dealing with that number of kids and all of this,
Yeah.
and I just remember being up. The balcony isn't a seating balcony; it's where we have the spotlights and all that stuff. And I was up in the balcony on the headset, And at one point, the show just stopped with applause. People stood up after a number, and I just,
I thought you were going to
tears. I was like, okay, we did this.
I thought you were going a different direction there. You said the show just stopped, and oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and then how do you live up to that? And that was a problem for a while. But
oh my gosh,
maybe that should be the play that changed my life. I don't know.
Well, there's still time. But interesting because you think about transitioning from straight play to musicals, and you think, well, how can I take what I know about beats and responding and listening and use that in musicals? And you say, no, just put up a big top.
There you go. Spectacle.
And by the way, you're ahead of your time because Water for Elephants on Broadway right now has acrobats in it who are the whole show. I don't know that score is going to do much, but the circus feeling of it and mainly the acrobats is astounding.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, certainly there is crossover in the sense of working with actors. I think,
Sure.
It's the same mindset working with actors in a straight play or a musical, but there's a lot of differences too.
Yeah.
Certainly, and even stylistically, there's considerable differences.
Yeah. I'm directing The Squirrels, which is a new play by Robert Askins, and it has a cast of 12. We are in Sand Lake Center for the Arts, and I picked the only dates that they had available, which gave me only 3 days load-in before our first audience. So we load in on the 17th and have an audience on the 20th. So we have 6 speaking parts, and I cast 6 ensemble, and I added a choreographer, and and I'm going to make, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of music, and I'm getting real close to a musical. By incorporating different elements into it. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's a different animal.
Yeah.
I mean, choreography is, anybody who's ever seen me dance knows that I've never been a choreographer.
Yeah.
We were at Shaker. We were very fortunate because they had a great dance program, and we would use students as choreographers, and they always did a great job.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to worry about that aspect either.
That's awesome. Yeah. Is that where you started directing at Shaker?
I first directed in college, at Union College.
Yeah.
Directed a play. This was in the 60s, remember? A play called The Brig.
I've heard of it.
Kenneth Brown, I think, was the playwright. Don't hold me to that. Very confrontational, anti-war.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
a
military prison.
Military prison, right?
Yeah.
That was the first thing I directed, and I directed another one act at Union.
And you guys used to perform in, what is it called?
The Knott Memorial.
Knott Memorial.
That's right. It's I think a 16-sided building or something like that. It looks round. It's right in the middle of campus.
Yeah.
Beautiful old building. But it was always theater in the round, and that's the way the building was. I loved working there, and it was a great experience. They have a wonderful new theater now. Well, it's not new anymore, but new to me.
No, and they do some incredible things in there. We love going to Union. They've got a play coming up next week, You on the Moors Now, by Jacqueline Backhouse. And it's about all of these leading characters from Victorian novels, women, like Jo from Little Women and Jane Eyre and Kathy from Wuthering Heights. And these 4 women go running off to create their own destiny. I'm looking forward to it.
Fun.
Yeah. Did you start directing at Curtain Call?
Yeah, I mean, college. I did. In college, I did a little directing, and I never thought I would want to, but I think, the longer I worked there, and Carol saw my work, and I was always interested in other aspects of any production I was in, and ideas about the set, and I think she liked the way I work, so she kind of tricked me She and I,
She does that.
yeah, we co-directed a really cool play called The Whipping Man.
Oh, that was
A
Yeah.
story about a Confederate soldier coming home.
Matthew
right at the end of the
Lopez.
Matthew Lopez. And she and I worked together on it, and it was great, and it turned out really well. And so then I kind of went on and did a few more after that. One of my favorites was Opus. Chris was
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
And that was about a string quartet and the kind of ups and downs of their relationship together, and they play at the White House. And so the actors had to learn not actually to play the instruments,
Yeah.
of course, but they had to learn as if they were playing. We weren't trying to fool the audience. The music was
Yep.
taped, but that was a whole separate challenge, and we had musicians come and show Chris how to play the cello and then the violin and the viola. And we had to have musical rehearsals for this straight play just so that we could but they did. They worked so hard, and we're so committed to it. And I think it turned out really well.
Yeah, I remember it was very vivid, and it had an extraordinary cast. Yeah, it turned out exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and was that like your second?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Second show.
She's good.
Yeah. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Again, taking on massive challenges. That's exciting. Is there anything that you would like to direct? Is there anything?
He's asking you, I think.
Are you
No, both of you. Both of you. Both of you. Are there stories, or is there a genre, or is there's not a piece that you feel like, I'd really like to get my hands on?
Right now, I'm thinking about I've got a gig coming up directing.
Where's
that's
that?
right.
Called Becoming Dr. Ruth.
Oh, yeah.
One woman play about the famous Dr. Ruth.
And that's summer theater, right?
That's coming up right after our
Yeah.
play.
Who's Dr. Ruth?
Who's Dr. Ruth?
Ruth?
Dr. Ruth.
Sex?
No. Who's playing?
Oh, who's
Dr.
playing it?
Dr. Ruth. Oh,
The wonderful Carol Charniga is playing.
Oh,
Dr.
excellent.
Ruth.
I didn't
Yes.
know that.
Yeah, she's good.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I love seeing Carol.
yeah.
So I've got a busy summer with the show we're acting in,
Yeah.
and then some directing. Then
Yeah.
maybe I'll go to the beach. Can I borrow your shirt? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Your show works too. But, yeah, I got my Tommy Bahamas. This weekend, I the flannels went away.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's that whole transition.
Guys have it so easy.
I know.
It's just one tote.
Right.
Change from, Pendletons to Tommy Bahamas. I'm such my mother's son. Like, you can tell everything about me by my brand names. So no projects, anything that you're
I don't know,
thrilled to direct, or
I ended up directing for Carol at Curtain Call, Don't Dress for Dinner, which is
Right.
a really good farce.
yeah,
Right? And they're hard to find, I think, in the theater.
yeah,
And I had been in it at the
Yeah.
Curtain Call years ago, and it was a lot of fun. I really liked it, and it was like probably the first comic role that I had done there.
Yep.
But I loved it, and that was fun to restage, and try to bring back. I like comedy.
yeah,
I do.
yeah. And when you're in something like that, there's nothing more invigorating.
Right?
It's such a
And
such a
exhausting.
powerful
and
feeling. Yeah,
Yeah, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of running around usually
All right.
somehow. No matter-
Slamming doors.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And you really feel like you put your time in that evening.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and everyone got their evening's worth. I
Directed
remember
that show in Curtain Call.
at
Theater Barn.
Theater
Dress
Barn.
for dinner.
Theater
oh,
Barn.
Theater Barn. Sorry.
Yeah.
Who's in yours? Because I think I saw both.
Who did?
Who was in
was
yours
in
at
it?
Theater
Well,
Barn?
Kathleen Carey was in it, so you probably
Yeah.
were there. Don't ask me to remember all the names, Patrick. I
That
can't do
show, who was the? Oh, I saw it. Oh my gosh, I saw it with Bethy out at Majestic as
right,
well.
right.
Beth Pietrangelo, who is out there doing the play that goes wrong right now. There's a farce.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good one.
There's a farce. But yeah, that Don't Dress for Dinner. The thing I remember most about it, and I've seen it like 4 times, is the woman who makes a dress out of her
Right.
She's the maid.
skirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a tube stocking.
Right, and she pulls it up.
Yeah.
She
Right.
came to cater the
Yeah.
dinner, but they make her play one of the girlfriends.
Yeah.
So then she just pulls up a dress. Yeah.
Corey
It's
Irwin
really
did
funny.
it out at Sand Lake Center for the Arts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's Corey, Kathleen, and Beth. I see them all pulling the dress out. Yeah, Remy was in the one out in Sand Lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, another great farce, POTUS. Do you know that one?
I've read about it.
Yeah, I don't know that.
But I
Yeah.
don't know it.
Yeah,
Did you see it?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we saw it on Broadway, and it was hysterical.
Really?
Yeah, it's 7 women, in a Trump-like administration, all of them, trying to cover his, yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah. Yes, it's a very, very funny show. But yeah, there was another comedy in The Cottage, Sandy Rustin. I don't know.
Know of that.
Yeah, it was on Broadway last summer. Jason Alexander directed,
Oh,
and
right.
Will McCormick was in it. Is that his name? Eric McCormick,
Oh, okay.
who was in Will and
Played
Grace.
Right.
No, great. Right.
Nice mix up there. Yeah, and again, that's the summer theaters. That's where farces.
We did a farce every summer
Yeah.
at the theater bar.
Yeah, I did Bedroom Farce, An Absurd Person Singular, and Rumors at
I
a
was in
place
Rumors
called
at
Colonial Theater at
Yeah.
Westerly, Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a nice theater.
oh my gosh, all day at Misquamicut Beach, show up, do a farce. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Perfect.
yep. Then return home to Astoria, Queens. Yeah, it was good times. This season that just closed, do you think of I do, just because, I don't know, Memorial Day to Labor Day, the summer season, and I think of Labor Day to Memorial Day as the theatrical season. Although, now Broadway gets openings year round, and
Right.
there's a couple of things moving in the summer. So this past theatrical season in the Capital Region, were you both active in the?
Well, I'm in Florida for
Right.
the winter, so.
When do you go down?
Well, we go down in October for about 6 weeks, then we come back up for the holidays. I have a granddaughter up
Sure.
there, and then we go back beginning of January, usually well into April. So
Yeah.
we're down there a long time.
So, do you see any theater in
We see
Florida?
a lot of theater, yeah. Florida Rep is just up the road from where we are, and
What kind of house are they?
that's an equity house.
Yeah.
And they do good stuff. Probably leaning more towards comedy, but they do some serious stuff too. They did Autumn in Osage County. I saw it down there, and
That's a challenging show.
yeah, very, very.
Cast, set,
Yep. They did a
everything.
good job down there. I understand I know Carol Charniger was in a production that just closed up.
Schenectady Civic
Schenectady
Players.
Civic,
It's that show is 20 years old, and it's a Capital Region premiere. Finally, someone produced this Pulitzer Prize winning play. Schenectady Civic Players. Massive props to them. They did it, and
absolutely.
they did it really well. They fit that 3 stories on stage. They cast it well. Carol Charniga was fantastic. Melissa Lotzian was terrific. Great job by Mike McDermott.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about you, Barb? Did you have anything going on this past season?
About a year ago, my husband and I, Gary and I, were in England and Ireland, and so I saw one amazing show while I was there, which I think you saw it
Yeah.
too, Guys and Dolls.
Yeah.
It was. I looked, thinking, what do we want to do? What do we want to see? And I chose not to go to the West End because this sounded so cool, And it was such an amazing production.
Yeah.
You know, they cleared out a theater, the Bridge Theater, and it was staged kind of in the round, and the audience was up above, and they had several different stages, and the actors moved from one to the other, but the audience was around them too. People could choose to stand through the whole play, right?
Yeah.
But the performers were so good. Everyone was amazing. The technical aspects were amazing, the whole concept. So we came out, we were so excited. It was such an enthralling experience just to see all of it come together so well. You know, that was just thrilling.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're in London. You know,
Yeah.
seeing this classic American
Right.
musical.
Right.
And they were all, you know, the accents they made, they were just astonishing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you walk, it's called the Bridge Theater. You walk out the theater, and there's the London Bridge lit up.
Oh, wow.
Like you know,
Yeah.
100 yards away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
Nice.
astonishing.
yeah.
And the other thing we saw was another, well, I guess, operetta musical was Candide at Glimmerglass. Candide by
Yeah.
Leonard Bernstein, of
Yeah,
course.
that's a great score.
It's amazing, and that was another just astonishing experience. Again, beautiful, strong singers, incredible direction, amazing. You know, again, it was just one of those pure, wonderful experiences in the theater. You know, just great.
Chris was just talking about Candide as being one of his favorite overtures.
Oh my God, yes.
We were at Gypsy, and you know, Gypsy's got an amazing overture, but he was like, Candide.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I play that in the car on my way to the theater for the show. It's just so full. You know, I just put the soundtrack on, the original cast recording, and just listen to it because it's so enervating and, you know, exciting.
Thank you for getting us back to this show.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
talk.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about Native Gardens. I was going to add a few notes about Guys and Dolls, but we better get to the business at hand. Native Gardens by Karen Zacharias.
Zacharias.
I think it's Zacarias.
Zacarias.
Yeah, she's
Thank
from
you.
Mexico originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she wrote the book club play.
Yeah, she has a lot of
Yeah.
shows that are done mainly in regional theater.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I don't think this one's been done in New York.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I've seen it Syracuse Stage and
Yeah.
Majestic Theater.
Yeah.
But now Curtain Call is taking its turn. And it's been on Carol's,
Right.
you know, she's wanted to do it for, since before the pandemic. It's at
think-
least 4
Right.
years.
That came in the middle. I think
Yeah.
that stopped it.
Yeah, it was in the planning stages in
Yeah.
2019-20, whenever that, you know, everything shut down. So who wants to start? Who do you play, Barb?
I play Virginia Butley, married to Frank Butley over here.
That's me.
And we're a wealthy Washington, D.C. couple who probably live in the Georgetown area. Have a beautiful home with an amazing garden, thanks to Frank. Frank has become an avid gardener.
Ah,
So that's who we are.
yes.
It's a gardening competition every year, and Frank, that's my character, enters it and has always won, what is it, best runner-up or something?
Yeah,
Oh,
honorable mention.
And never has broken through to the big prize. So that's something he's hoping for.
nice to have something to aim for. And you've lived in the neighborhood many, many years. Retirees?
No, I'm an engineer at Lockheed Martin.
Oh,
Frank is, I think, retired from his government job, but does consulting work from home.
very wealthy.
Very well-to-do, very old school,
Yes.
and then they get new neighbors.
Next door. The vacant house has been sold, and who moves in?
So Pablo and Tanya move in, a Latinx couple, and it's Pablo calls it a fixer-upper. So we see the two backyards. Our backyard is pristine. It's got the
Beautiful
beautiful flower
flowers.
garden. And theirs is kind of a mess because the previous owner.
Just got here, Frank.
It's really the fault of, I think, the previous owner rented it out to college students. So
I know what that's like.
You live in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they're certainly planning to fix it up. He's an attorney, and she is getting her PhD and is also very pregnant. And so, yeah, I mean, it starts out very friendly.
Yeah, and Pablo's throwing a party, right?
Yeah,
for
he
his
decides-
law firm.
yeah.
He decides to invite them over to the new house, which is in disrepair, and he wants to throw it in the backyard and makes a discovery.
His discovery is that the old chain link fence that the previous owner had put up is in the wrong place. And they find out that they actually own 2 feet more of what Frank thinks is his property, which happens to be right where his prize garden is.
Yes.
And so, drum roll,
Yes. Yes, excellent. Fences make better neighbors. Sometimes they make for good plays. So, who's playing Pablo? That is
Pablo is Dan Perez.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's very, very good. I haven't worked with Dan before, have
me
you?
neither.
Yeah, no, I have. He was in a Harbinger production of Mother Effer with the Hat
Oh, okay.
last summer
yes.
at Albany Civic, and I directed him in Cry It Out up at Homemade Theater, which was a pandemic play, fall of 2000. Could it be 2020? We did it outdoors in September
Yeah, could be.
2020. Yeah, and playing Tanya.
Tanya is Angelique
Angelique Powell.
Powell, who happens to have been in a Shaker High School play, the very last one that I directed during my career there.
What was that?
It was Footloose, and she was, I believe she played the high school principal, and I hope I'm right about that, Angelique. And,
You'll
and
get
was
corrected.
Also in the chorus and so on. She's terrific.
Yeah, Angelique has had quite the year.
Yeah, she has.
She this past season she recreated the role of Camé, which she had played before in The Mountaintop,
Right.
which Black Theater Troupe, with their collaboration with the Rep, had on the main stage. And then she did Afterlife with Creative License on the Cohoes Music Hall main stage. I did a reading with her called Kings out at Sand Lake Center for the Arts. I know I'm forgetting something that she did last fall.
She's been really busy.
Yeah.
She's just lovely and just a wonderful actress.
Yeah.
Really a lot of fun to work with her.
Delightful, beautiful.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. We love.
It's just a great cast. I mean,
Yeah.
we all get along great and
We
we're having
do.
fun. And,
Yeah.
That's good for that dressing room.
Yes.
It's better than the old one.
Yes, it is. It is an improvement.
Yeah.
We don't have to walk outside to make our entrances.
That you don't have to walk outside. There are no umbrellas necessary for your entrances.
Right.
But the audience accoutrements in this new theater far outpace,
Yeah.
I think they're the most comfortable seats anywhere in the Capital District.
the Capital
Truly.
District. Might be the world.
Yeah. Well, certainly more comfortable than Broadway.
From Broadway and all the stuff you see.
Oh,
Yeah.
Broadway.
No,
Yeah, those old seats.
Yeah, not even. There were some seats in Canada which were pretty nice, but curtain call's seats pretty much go up on the board against anyone's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no,
That's great.
hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are awesome
And
seats.
great sight lines from everywhere.
Great sight lines, very comfortable, nice lobby.
Yep.
Yeah,
Little cafe.
yep, little cafe.
It's lovely.
You have an intermission?
There
No,
is no
it
intermission in
doesn't.
this
Yep.
show. No, it's about
So
an
no
hour and
cake.
a half. And,
No cake. Get your cake beforehand.
Yeah.
right.
Arrive early. You
Arrive
have
early,
live
yeah.
music occasionally.
Opening night. I know.
Opening
it
night,
is.
which is
Thursday. 2 days.
Thursday. Tomorrow, yeah. So by the time you're watching this, the reviews will be out and you'll have to grab your tickets. Grab your tickets at 518-877-7529. That's Native Gardens by Karen Zacharias. at Curtain Call Theater. Directed by...
It's kind of co-directed.
Co-directed.
By Carol Max, who is the producer of Curtain Call, and Steve Fletcher, who's
Steve Fletcher,
frequent director there.
Excellent. So she's co-directing with Steve Fletcher, both wonderful directors.
I think so. Yes.
Steve Fletcher directed my second show at Curtain Call, The Miracle Worker.
Oh, that's right.
Catherine Wake.
Yes.
She's doing great, isn't she?
Yeah, she just closed Tick, Tick, Boom at the George Street Playhouse. Catherine Wake, who went on to Pace University, Broadway, and the world. We've seen her a few times at Adirondack Theater Festival, Barrington Stage she's been at. She's great. And it runs how long?
Until June 9th.
3 weeks.
June 9th.
3 weeks.
Excellent.
Yep.
Can't wait to see it. And there is, it runs Thursday through Sunday, but there is a Saturday matinee thrown in there, usually the second weekend.
That's right.
June 1st.
June 1st, which is the second weekend, right?
Yeah, great. I wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank
now,
you, Patrick.
the time in the podcast where we talk about
What?
the play that changed my life.
You have to go first, Barb, because I'm still deciding which way.
I thought about this, and it wasn't so much something that I've seen or read. It was something that happened to me, which, again, talking about high school and how so many of us, Americans anyway, we get our first theater experiences in high school. And I was auditioning for West Side Story for Maria, and I wasn't cast. I didn't have the vocal range, but we had to do the last scene where Maria is speaking over Tony's body and pointing the gun.
Yeah. Was it you?
You did, was it you? So, the auditorium is filled. So I did the scene, and there was like this moment of silence, and then everybody just stood and applauded. And I was like, oh, and then the next day, the music director said that was the best piece of acting I've seen on a high school stage. And that gave me kind of the confidence and the idea that this was something that I could pursue. And I just kind of went from there.
Fantastic.
So I guess I would say that was important.
Yeah. So that was in an audition, or
An audition for the high school production when I was like a senior in high school.
and was it West Side Story?
Yeah, it was West Side Story.
And did you get cast?
No, I played the young Puerto Rican woman who loved Puerto Rico.
Well, you got cast.
Oh yeah, I got cast, but not as Maria.
But not as Maria.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was wonderful. So
That's fantastic. Yeah.
I hope that isn't too self-aggrandizing or whatever, but that's what
It's
happened.
the play that changed my life. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, great.
That's it.
Have you decided, Phil? Because I can follow that story up with a...
Well, I'll go back to high school, too, since Barb went there.
All right.
When I was in school, back in the days of horse and carriage and all that stuff, we did junior high was 7, 8, 9, and then high school was 10, 11, 12. So I had been in Dick Feldman's play in, I think, 8th grade, and I loved it, but I was just it was called This Is the Army, and I think Dick sort of wrote it and brought in all music from everywhere, and it was about being in the Army, and I just played a soldier. My only line was, "That's the Army for you, one big show to satisfy all the brass." I've never forgotten that line. It's my first line. But that's not the play that changed my life. In 10th grade, I decided I had to go out for theater. I was in first year in high school. I was a pretty shy kid and didn't have a tremendous amount of self-confidence, but I really wanted to do that. I'd enjoyed being on stage. So I tried out for Twelfth Night, which would have been serious theater, I'm sorry, Dick, I know This Is the Army was wonderful, but so I auditioned and I got cast as Sebastian, which is one of the twins in Twelfth Night. A pretty big role for a 10th grader. And I did that show, and I had the feeling I had on that stage was a feeling I'd never felt before. It's very difficult to describe. It was almost like an out-of-body experience, that I was somebody else. I still feel that way when going from backstage to on stage. You know, people who are always in the audience and not backstage don't necessarily know what backstage looks like, but it's very different from on stage. And you're seeing the backs of flats and numbers on them and all kinds of things, and wood and nails, and then all of a sudden you step out, the light is different, the surroundings are different. It's almost literally a different world, and you're a different person, and there you are, and you're aware that there are people out there. But for me, that wasn't the main awareness. The awareness was the magic of that other world that I was suddenly living in. Even in rehearsals, I could feel that. And that was a feeling I just always wanted to get back. I didn't want to lose that feeling.
Yeah.
I also got to kiss a really pretty senior girl.
There you go.
that might have been the main. But
It's in the script.
Yeah, it is. I had to.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning, you know.
I love that. I love that description, Phil. You had me right there,
Right?
walking through that portal into, and you kind of feel like you're different and it's easy.
That
And
was a good description. Yeah, and you're just living.
change.
You're living on stage.
Yeah.
Just in this other universe. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
And it's not you, even though it is
Yeah.
you. It is you.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, it's a tough feeling
Right.
to describe.
It's very beautiful. My high school, the only high school show I did was Carnival, which is Love Makes the World Go Round.
Right.
I've done that show.
Yeah, and I played the only non-singing part, Dr. Wilhelm Glass, and I was kind of just casting about for things to do, because I wasn't involved in any other group, and I was kind of, I was a fifth kid out of six, and I was always making people laugh at the dinner table, and trying on my Monty Python routines and whatever. So I took this role, and I remember, just having fun at rehearsal and every day coming up with something else to try and get a laugh, and and the director, Pat Fedipin, called me out on stage one rehearsal, like everyone gather around. Mr. White, would you take center stage? And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, this is an actor.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, he comes in prepared. He always works. He's got everything, he's always trying new things. He can, takes direction. And I was like, oh my God. I was like,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
thank you. Thank you, Pat Fedipin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was a middle child, of course, so, I had to perform at home, too, to get any attention, But I think we all have a moment in our past, all of us actors, that somebody said something that lit us up, that we needed to hear.
gave us
Yeah.
the confidence,
And gave us
belief.
that confidence, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hear that from my math teacher.
Right.
Oh,
Nor did I.
Definitely.
I wasn't
not
hearing
me
that
either.
in biology.
No.
My father, he was dean of pharmacy at Albany College of Pharmacy, and he could not understand, why I failed the biology region. I was just like, I don't know, Pop.
That reminds me, I once was hired by Sue Dumbleton, who was the wife of Bill Dumbleton, who was
Oh,
a
it's
teacher
SUNY.
at SUNY
in
Albany.
the English department.
She taught at College of Pharmacy, and she hired me to
name's-
direct a play for College of Pharmacy. So I said, sure. And so I cast, what's the play it's sort of based on Genesis? It's a comedy, Adam and Eve.
Apple Tree?
Apple Tree, that's it. Thank you. And what I found was those students had no time. I mean, they were constantly either in class or doing practical lab stuff or studying. Trying to get them together for like an hour of rehearsal was near impossible. We did the play, but I didn't go back.
Yeah, it's now like a 6-year program or something.
Is it really?
Yeah, Albany College of Pharmacy and Applied Medical Arts or something, and they come out with a doctorate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they go to work at Walmart.
Yeah. My grandfather was a pharmacist. Went to that school.
Yeah.
Way back.
No. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny though. The engineering, RPI and Union, come up with great theater programs, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's unusual. When I was there wasn't a theater department when I was a student there.
at Union.
Yeah, I was an English major, although I lived in Memorial, doing the theater. But
I'm pretty sure they have a theater major now.
they do now, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, they didn't when I was there. And in fact, when I was there, it was an all-men's school. A year after I
Oh, that's
left
right.
was when women
Yeah.
matriculated.
I mean, look at that. In the capital region, we have Siena, Skidmore, Union, Albany.
Russell Sage.
Yeah, Sage, all with majors in acting, in theater. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, lucky us.
Yep.
Yeah, so have a great run in Native Gardens. I can't wait to see it. All-star cast running at Curtain Call Theater in Latham this Thursday, which is the 23rd,
Third.
yes,
Yeah, the 23rd.
through June 9th. It's going to be a great show. Tickets are at 518-877-7529. And if you're shopping for tickets for later in the season, The Squirrels by Robert Askins is playing at Sand Lake Center for the Arts June 21st through June 30th, directed by me. So great to have this time to talk to the both of you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for
for
inviting
asking
us,
us.
Yeah.
Patrick. It was
It was
fun.
fun.
Absolutely. Thanks. And thank you all for joining us to get a little more theater in your life. I'll see you in the theater soon.